Hey there everyone, my name's Andrew. Welcome back to update number 12 on the Enterprise E project. It is Sunday, it's only been 24 hours since I uploaded my last update, and I've actually gotten a bunch of work done to show you already. And, you know, now that I've decided exactly what I'm doing for the Warp Chiller grills, work seems to be progressing at a decent pace. So let's get right into it and see the work that's being done on the model. My work is focused primarily on the warp engines at the moment. And so what I've done is I've gotten my LED tape adhered to a piece of styrene plastic which has been cut to fit inside the warp nacelle. Now this is going to do a couple of things for me. One, it's going to really solidly keep my LED tape in place inside the model, but two, it's going to keep all the additional wires tucked in very neatly underneath the styrene strip so that they're not going to get into the way of the light on the chiller grills. So that's pretty good. You'll notice that there's a couple of pieces of magnet wire sticking out. I'm going to be adhering the LED for the flashing beacon light on the end. Now, let's see if I can get this into the shot, and I'm manually focusing at the moment because the camera has a hard time with the auto. So this is an LED, it's a 3mm white LED, and it's got fiber optic attached to it, and the LED itself has been taped off with black electrical tape to prevent the light from that leaking into the rest of the model. And what's going to happen is it's going to attach to these feeds right here. I've got this one ready to go so that the LED gets attached there, and then same for this one. It's the negative here and the positive here, and that's going to be tucked in just right about there underneath the LED tape, and the fiber is going to go to those beacon lights. Now, I've come up with a bit of a different and unique solution for the other beacon light that's going on the front of the warp nacelle. Now, that one is a constant on. The back ones are flashing, and the front one is actually a constant on beacon light. So the solution that I've come up with for the constant on beacon light, which is going to be coming out right about here, there's a piece that has to go in there. I'm going to be taking a piece of fiber and I'm going to be attaching it through to, there's a piece that goes in here, which is on a toothpick, prepped to be painted. It goes here, the fiber goes through, let's see here. Fiber goes through the little perforation there, the hole that I've drilled out. It goes through there, and it's going to come down into the model, and it's actually going to grab its light source from the LED tape right here. So it'll get affixed to the top of the LED, the first one on the strip, and it'll come up through the nacelle at the top, and it'll always be on. And because it's below the blue filter, it will glow that nice white beacon light. Now, if you're curious about what lighting scheme I'm following the first contact lighting scheme on this. So here are the beacon LEDs ready to go. I'm going to be installing them next into the nacelles. And what they are is they're a 3mm white LED. I have drilled using a very small drill bit holes into the top, 2 holes, which then I've been able to install the 2 fiber into those using canopy glue to affix them in. Then they are wrapped in black electrical wire to prevent them from producing extra light that we don't need in the nacelle. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is installing the one with the shorter end on it into the model. And just so you know, when I said black electrical wire, I really meant black electrical tape. I don't know what I was thinking. The fiber LEDs are installed and they are working beautifully. I'm just going to zoom in here for you. You can see the LED that I've blacked out is tucked in there nicely with the 2 strands of fiber coming out. Now what I've decided is that I'm not going to affix the fiber into the small apertures that I've created for them until I go to seal up the nacelle, I tried on the other side to put the fiber in place in half of it, and it's just not going to hold, or I'm not going to spend 24 hours holding in place for the canopy glue to set. So I'm going to wait until I'm going to seal up the 2 halves of the nacelle, and what I'm going to do is at the very end of the nacelle is an open area, so I'm just going to put some, well, let me actually see if I can get right in here, and you should be able to see the channels that I've created for the fiber. And on the end of the nacelle, it's wide open, so I should be able to get a toothpick in there and put a little daub of canopy glue in place there to keep it set. So that is the fiber installed on the beacons on the ends of the warp nacelle. So what my next task is going to be is doing the front beacon. So I'm going to prep the pieces that I need to put there that the fiber is going to go through for painting. And that's probably the last thing that I'm going to do tonight. What we have here is a proof of concept for stealing light from the LED tape for the chiller grills for the beacon on the front of the warp nacelles. The beacon on the very front of the warp nacelles is a constant on light. It's not a flashing, so we shouldn't have any problems stealing the LED tape light for this. So what I'm going to do is turn on the LED tape and see what the beacon looks like on the fiber optic cable. So there's the tip of the fiber optic cable. Let's go ahead and turn that on, and we get a nice glow. That is perfect. So that is proof positive for proof of concept. I'm going to adhere this in place onto the LED tape, and it'll be good to go. Here's a mock-up of the Bussard collectors with the lighting inside, and I've been able to diffuse the light well enough that you get this really nice glow. Now the 3 bulbs inside are going to shift on and off between the 3, and it's going to give a really cool plasma looking effect once it's all hooked up to the control boards in the base. But this is just my proof of concept, and it seems to be working quite nicely. Shows up well on the camera and shows up quite nicely in person. The way I've got the LEDs positioned at the moment, they're a little far forward, so the back of the Bussard collector is a little dark in person, so I may shift that around. But what I'll do is I'll open it up and show you my homework. So what I've done is I've taken some light diffusion lighting gel and I've covered the lens on the inside with it. I've also covered the LEDs themselves with it. One without the other doesn't give you the diffusion that you need. So as I said, the bulbs sit a little far up front, so I'm going to have to play around with the cables very carefully because it's just the magnet wire. I don't want to chip it and end up getting some shorts in it, but I should be able to position this back a little bit on both of them and we'll get a better overall glow. But I'm quite happy with the way that that's turned out. Bit of good progress going. I have the warp nacelles assembled. The starboard side is being clamped together right now and is curing, and the port side was done last night and is good to go. Now, one of the things that was really difficult was getting the, let me just see if I can zoom in here for you, if you can see. Actually, you're not going to be able to see from this angle. I will try to see if I can get a better view of it here for you. So you should be able to see the fiber coming out of the end of the nacelle. The hardest thing I had to do in assembling the nacelles was getting the fiber to go through the apertures that I had drilled out for it. They're right on the seam, which means half the aperture is on one piece, half the aperture is on the other, and getting it to stay where it was while I was putting the half of the warp nacelle on was really tough and took quite a bit of fiddling. What I did was I used canopy glue on the back of the nacelle so I didn't risk damaging the fiber with the CA glue, and then in the front section of the nacelles and where the nacelles join the pylons, I used the CA glue so that I'd have that good strong joint there. So yeah, it is doing pretty good. I'm gonna leave the clamps on probably for the next couple hours so that it gets a really good amount of time to cure. Please excuse the quality of this section of the video. It's being filmed on my phone since my camera is being used at the moment. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I use my modeling as a way of getting my perfectionist tendencies out without annoying other people. But that also means that I want to do like perfect windows. So what I have here is a little bit of a setup which allows me to view what I'm working on under extreme magnification without having to use magnifying glasses, or something more like that item right there. Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult to use, and please excuse the messiness of my desk. It is a working desk at the moment. So I've got my camera zoomed in on the windows, and I figure that if the windows look decent on the magnification, they'll never look perfect under the magnification, but if they look decent under the magnification, they'll look really good to the eye. So that's how I'm going about doing these windows, since I'm redoing my saucer section and I want them to look really as clean and neat and straight and perfect as I possibly can. They won't ever be perfectly perfect, but at least I can get them as close as I can. Messy windows on these models is one of my pet peeves. The question was asked to me on Facebook, how do I get the windows cut out as cleanly as I do? Now, they are by no means perfect. And when you magnify them under extreme magnification, like I do sometimes on the screen with my camera to see what they look like, they are by no means perfect, but to the naked eye, they look pretty good. And so what I thought I would do is give you a bit of a demonstration on how I'm doing this. It's not the only way to do it. Find your own way of doing it, but this is just how I'm doing it. Now I'm using two tools pretty much only. The first of the two tools that I'm using is a micro hand twist drill. You can find these at your local hobby shop or online. And there's a very small bit in there. It's not the smallest by any means. This is a 72. I have a whole set. Is it going to focus? I'm having some issues with my autofocus because it wants to focus in on me and not. Anyway, yeah, this little kit here. This is a 72. Now I've gone through, I've written down all the sizes that I need for the Enterprise because I've done all the windows before. This is the second go around of the saucer section for me. And what I did was, if I just take out the little tiny drill bit here, what I did was I took the end of it that doesn't have the drill little bits and I kind of just stuck it in the window. If only I could manually focus here, probably because there's a screen directly behind it. But anyway, I took the end that's not the drill portion. The drill's on this end, it goes in like this. I took the bottom end of it and just figured out until I found the size that fit perfectly into the molded in section for the windows. That's how I figured it out. And if you're curious about what size drill bits you need for this kit, most of the windows, so the regular size windows on the top of the saucer are 72. The small windows on top of the saucer that are kind of in the creases, in the grid lines, they are 78s. The conference room and those small windows on top, they are a 79. And the lower primary hall windows are 77. So different sized windows depending on where on the kit they were. And the secondary hall windows are all 77s as well. So yeah, those are good numbers to know. So I am going to show you up close and personal how I'm doing this, and you can see the process as I'm doing it. So I said that I'm using two tools primarily, and the first of the tools was this one that you saw before. So the drill, and yeah, it's a pretty small drill bit there. The second tool that I'm using is a very sharp number 11 blade. Now, you want to use a really, really sharp blade, and they don't stay really sharp for too long. So I've gone through, I went through almost a full pack of these on the first saucer section and secondary haul that I did. And I'm almost out, so I simply ordered a brand new package of number 11 blades, pack of 120 on Amazon, only $15. Buy a pack, and you'll go through a good chunk of the pack doing this project. Also, I've got a nice jar full of discarded blades here that I've used, and every so often I'll just pull one out and use it for another project, because it's only the tip that gets dull pretty quickly, and there's a few that the tip is broken off in there as well. If the tip breaks off, you have to replace it. If it starts to grab on the plastic, replace it. You want it to slice through the plastic pretty much like butter. And I'm just going to replace this blade, put it in the jar, grab a new blade, fresh blade, because I can't remember how many windows I did with that old blade, and I'm just going to start from scratch with a freshly sharp blade. So let's just set that aside. Let's bring in the model. I'm going to do, now I've got the camera on one of my 3 monitors here, so I can see what you see. So what I do is, it's going to be a little awkward doing this in front of the camera. I'm going to try to make sure that my arm and my hand does not get in the way, but I'm just going to get in really close. Okay, so what I did was I found the very bottom of the window. You do need a fair bit of light to be able to do this, and you need some decent vision. And also, if you're not sure, doing this so that you guys can see is a wee bit tricky. But, oh, I moved it. But really, just get close to it. Find the bottom of the window. Just make sure you're all the way at the bottom of the window. Doesn't usually take me this long, but I'm doing it on camera. Once you find the bottom of the window, hand twist the drill. And I try to hand twist the drill on an angle so that it goes in a way that's going to allow the light to shine through the window properly. I usually do this while I'm playing other people's modeling videos, or things like Hermitcraft, Minecraft, or things on Netflix, just because it would kind of be a little boring just sitting here drilling out the window. So the first hole is in place. Now I'm going to find the very top of the window, and I'm going to do the exact same thing again. Can't believe people are watching me drilling holes in plastic. Let's clear the plastic away. I've got a little toothbrush just to keep the plastic under control. All right, so that's all I'm doing with that tool. Reposition the camera so I can work on it and let you see what I'm doing at the same time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very carefully, with the tip of the blade, work my way through the plastic between the 2 holes that I drilled. Now, if you're doing this with windows that are really close together, you want to be very careful doing this, because When there's only a thin line between, it's very easy to bend or break that thin bit of plastic in between. But if you can see, you should be able to see that I've actually made it all the way through, more or less. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working at chipping away part of the window, just so that I've got a fully cleared out section. It's starting to look not too bad, but it's not a rectangle yet. I'll flip it over. Let's see if we can find it here. There it is. Looks pretty bad on the inside, so I just take my knife and I'm gonna clear out the inside. Just have to get rid of the plastic. Run it down, swoop it around the bottom. And I've lost the tip on my blade. I've lost it that quickly. So let me replace the blade and we'll come back. Normally the blade wouldn't break that quickly, but I'm doing this one on a bit of a weird angle and hoping that you guys can see that all right. So I've cleared out a bunch of the plastic there. And it's still not perfectly straight. So I'm gonna go back over to the other side. Try to line this up with the camera. There it is. It's still got quite a bit on the inside. So this is where I take my blade and very gingerly, I'm going to do it this way so that I can see the work that I'm doing. Just very gingerly. Sorry, I have to turn it my way. With the tip of the blade, work it from various different angles. Sorry, I need to do this really close up so I can see what I'm doing here. Give me one moment. There we go. Sorry, I just had to clean out a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just take whatever time I need to with the very sharp X-Acto and clean it out until I'm satisfied with how straight that looks. Let me finish just picking away at it, getting it cleaned up, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. All right, so I'm pretty much, let's see if I can get this in the camera, pretty much happy with that window. It's pretty straight, pretty clean. Again, this simply takes time. It just takes a lot of time and patience, a sharp X-Acto knife, and a lot of light in order to get it as clean as you possibly can. And that's the demo. Here she is with her Warp Nacelles completely assembled, minus the chiller grills. You've got the fiber optic cables spitting out, and it's looking pretty good. I'm happy that this has gone together. This has been a good chunk of progress this week. I'm really happy with what I've been able to do. All in all, I think this has been a pretty productive week. Warp nacelles have been sealed up, minus the chiller grills. Everything is installed, working order. It is great. And I've gotten started on the windows on the replacement for the saucer section. Something else I wanted to mention is, since I was looking at the saucer section and I'm redoing the windows, I'm really tempted to scratch build a shuttle bay to go in the saucer section. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But thank you so much for watching this update. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to my channel or you haven't done so yet, why not hit that subscribe button today? It'll make me very happy if you do. If you haven't seen the rest of the videos, why not check out the playlist right here? But for now, this has been Andrew from my studio, building the Enterprise E. Have a great day, everyone.